Want to learn to play your favorite songs on guitar but find tablature confusing? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do to read tablature to the songs that you'd love to be able to play. But be aware, tablature is a starting point, not the end point. It's instruction to show you where to put your fingers on the fretboard. There is more information we need to play the songs that we want to be able to play. More on this shortly. Also in this video, I'm going to show you how to read chord diagrams. But before we get into it, if you like this video right now, I'd really appreciate it because it pushes it out to people on YouTube. And if you like the content I release each week on this channel, I'd really appreciate your subscription too. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so if you have a look here, tablature is written on what we call a stave or a staff, and it consists of 6 horizontal lines. Each line represents a string on the guitar. So the top line is the thin string, the bottom line is the bottom string, the thick string on your guitar. People get this mixed up all the time, so it's really important we get this right first. So again, the top line is the thin string. That is this string on the guitar, right? The one closest to the floor. The bottom string, the thick string, the bottom line on our tablature staff there is the lowest string on your guitar, the one closest to you, closest to the ceiling. We're not looking at the stave here or the staff like you would be looking at someone playing guitar. That's how people see it, but that's not right. We see it from how we view the guitar. Closest to our line of sight is the bottom string. If you just lay your guitar flat in your lap and you look at the strings, it makes more sense when you see that compared to the tablature stave. So that's the first thing we've got to get in our heads. We've got to get that correct, because otherwise we'll play everything incorrectly. Now, sometimes you'll see at the beginning of a tablature stave tab, T-A-B, written down the left-hand side. This can be handy to think of as top and bottom. So you can see which one is the top string, which one is the bottom string. Now, before we move on, I should also mention that each string has a number assigned to it. So the first string is always going to be the top string up the top there, the thinnest string on our guitar. Therefore, then we get the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and down the bottom is number 6. We also have numbers on the strings. These are the frets that we play. So if we have a string number and a fret number, we've got an exact position on the fretboard. It's a little bit like the coordinates you do in Battleship. So let's see, if we have a 0 on the 3rd string, for example, 0 means no frets. It means open string. And that is just plucking the string without fretting anything. And if that 0 is written on the 3rd string, like you see there, that will be an open. If that 0 was placed on the 1st string, I'd have to pluck the 1st string open. But let's say we have a 3rd fret or a 3 on the bottom string, number 6. That means I've got to go to the 6th string, which is always going to be the bottom thick string, the lowest sounding string, and I've got to move up to the 3rd fret. And if I play then the 3rd fret on the 6th string, I've played that correctly as is written in my tablature on your screen right now. So if we're playing 2 or more notes together at the same time, they're written one above the other. Because with tablature, we're reading from left to right, just like reading words across a page. And if we want 2 notes or more to sound at the same time, they've got to be in line with each other. So for example, if we look here, we see a 10 and 9. They're written one above the other. One is on the 4th string, the 10th fret. One is on the 3rd string, the 9th fret. So we need to find those. Perhaps we find the 10th fret first. So 4th string, we go up to 10. There's our note, right there. Then from there, we can easily detect the 9th fret, which is only going to be 1 fret lower, and we're up onto the 3rd string. Once we're there, we fret those notes, we sound them together because they're one above the other. If they're side by side, it'll be one, then the other. But we're not always going to be on adjacent strings. Perhaps we have something like this, where we have a 5th fret on the 1st string and a 5th fret on the 3rd string, both sounding at the same time. So let's find the one on the 1st string, 5th fret. Then we move down 2 strings, stay in the same fret, and we've got 2 notes together. Now, of course, we have chords where we're sounding more than just 2 notes at the same time. So let's have a look at this G chord here, a G open chord. We've got a 3rd fret on the bottom string, 2nd on the 5th. We've got 2 open strings, 4 and 3, and then the 3rd fretted notes on top, all sounding at the same time. That is a G open chord tabbed, if you like. Here's a D chord, open, 2, 3, 2, or maybe a bar chord. Let's say C up here. We've got 8, 8, 10, 10, 9, 8, 8. Okay, these are chords that are tabbed on our stave. Now, as far as which fingers to use to play these notes, that's another number we've got to consider. Now, most times when you look at tablature, it won't tell you the fingering, right, for that particular phrase or whatever it is you're going to play. You're going to know by having good fretting technique, and that's a different topic for another day. However, when you do see finger allocations, and often in instructional sort of stuff you will, the number in terms of the finger you want to use to play the notes will be below the tablature. So for example, if I have the 3rd fret on the 6th string and we need our first finger to play that note, then a 1 would be written below the fretted note there. It's off the string, it's not a note we're playing, it's a number to indicate the finger to use. If we're playing the 10th fret up here on the 4th string and we want our 3rd finger to play it, 3 will be written below. If it was the first finger, 1 will be written below. Generally speaking, you don't get the rhythm when you're looking just at pure tablature, meaning you'll see the note to play, you'll see which finger to use perhaps, but it won't tell you how long to stay on that note before moving to the next note. You'll need to listen to the song to get that most times. That's a good thing. Tablature, as I said, is just instruction. It's not going to give you all the information. There's stuff we need to get by listening to the songs. We can have rhythm though. So I'm going to show you, because I want to show you the different situations you'll come across. So let's say we have a little phrase like this. Okay, here it is on the screen just with the tablature. Right, I've got my 5th and 7th fretted notes there on the 3rd and 4th strings making up that particular phrase. So sometimes you will get a hybrid approach where you've got the tablature, but there is indications for the rhythm as well. So instead of the note head and the stems, you have the stems, but the note head is replaced with the fret number. So our phrase here would look like this in that situation. So you can see the first note is a quarter note because we've got the stem extending from the fret number 7 on the 4th string. Then we've got a pair of 8th notes and then another quarter note and then 8th notes. So that can be handy because it's showing you the rhythm as well as the tablature. Also, and very often, you will get the notated music above the tablature line. So you'll get the 2 staves. You'll get the stave for the actual notated version of what you're playing, and you'll get the tablature below. So that would look like this for our phrase. Same phrase, but you can see that above is the music notation. Now, you might not be able to read that notation, but you could read the rhythm of that notation. And then you've got the pitch part down below with the tablature. Now, if you can't read any of that and you can't read rhythms, don't panic. I would strongly recommend you learn to read rhythms. It's going to benefit your playing in many, many ways, but you don't need to be able to do that to play the tune you're trying to play. Now, not only does tablature make it easier to get started playing guitar and playing the songs you love, it gives you more information than notation will. What some people don't understand is that reading music notation for guitar is very different to, let's say, piano or a horn instrument, because we can play the same note in the same octave, the same pitch in multiple positions on the guitar. On something like a piano, there'd only be one place to play a particular note. So for example, if I take a C note here on my 2nd string, 1st fret, I can play that also at the 5th fret, on the 3rd string, or the 10th fret, on the 4th string, or the 15th fret, on the 5th string, or the 20th fret, the last fret on this guitar, on the bottom string. Unlikely I play it up there, but I could play it in any one of those positions. If we were to notate that, this is how it looks. Doesn't matter if I play it here, or if I play it here, or on the 4th string, or etc. It's always going to look the same in actual music notation. So we would then need to work out where we'd want to play it, and there could be a number of factors as to why you might play it in any one of those positions. With tablature, we can show exactly where you've got to play that note. So if you're playing something and it's got that C note and it needs to be played at the 1st fret, it will tell you 1st fret on the 2nd string, or 5th fret on the 3rd string. So tablature does give us more information. Yes, we can work out where to play the note through music notation, but tablature is going to make it much easier. Okay, let's look at some more of the details, finer details when reading tablature for guitar. So we can articulate notes or phrase notes a number of different ways when we play guitar, and it's shown in tablature. So for example, we can slide between notes or in and out of notes. So if I have, for example, a 3rd fretted note sliding up to the 5th fretted note on the 2nd string, that's shown with a little diagonal line between the 2 fretted notes. That indicates we're going to slide it, not pick each note individually. Now we can also descend and come back down from 5 to 3 in the same sort of fashion, and it's shown in the same way with the little diagonal line between the two notes. We can also slide up and down. So something like that would have the little lines, diagonal lines between the notes that you're sliding. When you see that, you pick the first of the 3 notes here, but the other 2 are sounded with slides. You're not articulating them again with the pick, you're sounding them with the slide. We can also slide into a note from below or above. So if we take this 5th fret, we can slide into that from nowhere in particular, we just slide into it. That's shown with a little diagonal line going up to the note from below up to the 5th fret. If we're sliding from above that note down to the 5th fret, then it's shown with a diagonal line that starts higher and goes lower, as you can see there. Okay, and that's indicating you're sliding from above into that 5th fret as opposed from below. That's how we communicate slides through tablature. Now, another way to articulate notes on guitar is hammer-ons and pull-offs, slurring. So if we take the same 2 notes and we want to pick the first of the 2 and hammer on, in this case with the 3rd finger down to the 5th fret, that's shown with a little curved line. Sometimes there might be a H written above that to indicate hammer on. A lot of the time it's not. It doesn't matter. You'll know it's a hammer on if it's a lower to higher note, okay? Because the opposite of that is the pull-off, which can be shown with a little P above the curved line, and that's where we pull down from the 5th fret to the 3rd fret, okay? But again, we know that's a pull-off because it's a higher to lower note. The hammer-on was lower to higher. And again, if we want to combine that, let's say we've got a hammer-on to 5 and then back to 3 with the pull-off, that's shown with one curved line connecting those 3 notes, indicating you pluck the first with your pick and sound the other 2 notes of the phrase with hammer-ons and pull-offs. We could have the reverse of that, the pull-off and then the hammer-on. Same thing, pick the first note, sound the other 2 with the legato. We can combine legato with slides. So you might have something where you get legato, hammer-on, pull-off, and then a slide up to 5. If you see the curved line across the 3 notes and then the last note of those 3 has the slide, it's all sounded with one pick, one pluck of the string. The rest is sounded with hammer-on, pull-offs, and slides. That was not the phrase, but you get the idea, right? It was this. That's the one, okay? Or we might have something like that, just coming back. So we've got the pull-off, we've got the hammer-on, and then we're coming back down. Now, another thing that is common to do on guitar, perhaps a little less on the acoustic, but certainly is done on the acoustic too, is bending, right? So where we take a note and we bend it up to a different pitch, okay? There's different distances when bending, okay? So we have quarter step bends, we have half step bends, we have full step bends, and we have different ways we articulate those bends. So I'm going to take you through a couple of common ones here. I'm going to use the 8th fret here because it's not too bad to bend on this guitar. We have a quarter step bend. So it's going to show you a little arrow pointing up and quarter written above that arrow or just next to that arrow. That indicates we're pushing the string up, but it's only a quarter of a step, which is somewhere in between the pitch of the note you're bending, the fret you're bending there, and the one above. It's not quite getting to that pitch, it's somewhere in between, right? Just slight movement on the note there. If we were to bend that a half step, which would be taking that note now up to the actual pitch of the 9th fret, it'd be the same thing, a little arrow to indicate that you're going to bend the note once you've picked it, but you're going to push it a little further to the pitch of the next fret, a half step, like that. And we can check just to see, yep, we're there, okay? So that's looks the same, but it says a half, not a quarter, so you know to push it a little further. If it said full step or 1, again, tablature, there's differences depending where you source your tablature from. Sometimes it will say full step, sometimes it will just have 1 written there. That indicates you're going to bend that note up 2 frets to the pitch of the note 2 frets higher. So I want to get 8 to the pitch of 10. So like that. Right, I can get that there on the acoustic, not too bad. All right, now the other thing is we can release bends. So let's say we take the half step bend, okay? And so if you get the arrow that goes up and it comes back down, that indicates you're going to bend a half step and you're going to release it. Okay, if it's just the bend, the arrow going up, it's only up, and then you kill the bend. If it's coming back down, indicates you release it. Sometimes you'll see a line going straight up vertically from the note, and then you get the arrow pointing down. That's a pre-bend. That's where you want to bend it to the note first without plucking the string, hit it, and then release it. Okay, did I get it there? Yeah, not too bad. Okay, a couple of other things that you'll see in tablature often, vibrato. So this is where we take a note and move it back and forth, oscillate it between two particular points to bring a bit of life to the note, if you like. So if we've got that 8th fretted note and we bring a little bit of vibrato to it, it's going to be shown like this. You can see there the squiggly line. It's always going to pretty much look the same. You need to listen again to what it is you're working on to hear the sort of vibrato. Lots of variation in vibrato. And so we listen to see what sort of vibrato, but that's how it looks. Okay, little squiggly line that will go over the duration you need to vibrato the note. Sometimes it's a wide vibrato, sometimes it's a more subtle vibrato, typically on acoustic, more subtle. A couple of other things, palm muting. So this is where we use the palm of our hand on the bridge of the guitar, right on the string there, to get this palm muted sound. So in tablature, I'm just doing it on open strings there, so you can see open strings on the 6th string, and you can see P, M, and a dotted line to indicate how long you're going to palm mute for. So it might be on a single string like this, or often the power chord like this. Same thing, PM for palm mute, and then the dotted line over the duration in which you're doing that. So chord diagrams. This isn't exactly tablature per se, but it's very important to be able to read chord diagrams too, and I want to show you that. It's a different way to look at the fretboard for reading and playing chords on guitar. If you look at the diagram on your screen right now, it's a little chord box. There's nothing in it yet, but you've got a series of horizontal lines and vertical lines. So the horizontal lines are the frets. The vertical lines are the strings. You're seeing the fretboard like this, if you can see that there. Let me just put the guitar like that. So you're seeing a little section of the fretboard. Sometimes it can be higher up in the fretboard. Let's start here. It's just showing you the first 3 frets. You've got your vertical lines indicating strings, horizontal lines are the frets, and it's giving you a little section of the fretboard there. So we're looking at it from a different perspective than we are when reading tablature. And we've got the nut, the thicker line in the diagram there indicates the nut, which is this plastic strip at the top of the neck there. So that's how we look and need to view the chord boxes for our chord diagrams. So let's do one here. So if we've got an E minor chord, it would look like this, or this is one way it could look. What you see in this diagram is you see dots, and you see that they both appear in the 2nd fret. Notice we've got the 3 frets, as we just explained. In the middle fret, the 2nd fret, we've got dots on strings 5 and 4. That is telling you that's the notes you need to push down to sound an E minor chord, but there's more we need. Notice below the dots, below the diagram, there's a 2 and a 3. That's telling you which fingers to play there. So this dot on the 5th string at the 2nd fret is played with the 2nd finger. The one on the 2nd fret of the 4th string is played with the 3rd finger. Okay, there's another way we can communicate that. We'll do that in a moment, but this is one way. Now, in addition to the fretted notes, once you've got them there, you see little zeros next to the 6th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings. That means we're strumming those as well with our chord. So we strum all 6 strings for an E minor. And we get the E minor chord open. There's our 2nd fretted notes, open, open, open. Okay, so that is how we would write up an E minor chord diagram. Now there's one slightly different way you might see it, and everything's the same except the numbers for the fingers are written inside the dot, or the circle if you like. So you might see it with 2 in the one on the 5th string and 3 for the one on the 4th string to show you use your 2nd and 3rd fingers. So you can show it inside the actual sort of circle or dot, or it can be written below the diagram with the appropriate finger for that particular note of the chord. Let's look at a few different examples of chords here to reinforce this. So let's say we've got like a G chord. Okay, here's our G chord. We can see we're in the 2nd and 3rd frets, 3rd fret with the 2nd finger, 2nd fret with the 1st finger, zeros next to 3 and 4, or 4 and 3 strings, because they're open in the chord there, no fingers on those. And then we've got the 3rd fretted notes on top with my 3rd and 4th fingers to play a G chord. We could also see it like this, which has the numbers again in the dots or in the circles. Okay, either way, you've got a G chord. Let's do another one. Okay, there's a C chord. In fact, this is a good one to do because we don't always strum all strings. Notice with the C chord, there's an X next to the bottom string. That's because we don't want to strum that string. We want to avoid that string when playing a C chord, so it gets an X. If you're a little higher on the fretboard, like let's say for a bar chord, like A here, you'll get exactly the same thing, you know, the strings and the frets, but you'll get a fret number in line with the first of the 3 frets. And notice here it says 5. That's telling you to go up to the 5th fret. It's showing you 3 frets of the fretboard again, but not the first 3. It's showing you these 3. And typically the number will be next to the first of the 3. And once you know that's the 5th fret in the diagram, you know this is 6 and 7. Or maybe it's another 3 little fret section of the fretboard somewhere else, depending on what chord you're playing. So for our A bar chord here, we've got our first finger barring to get the notes at the top and bottom of the chord, and then we've got our 3rd, 4th, 2nd fingers on the 5th, 4th and 3rd strings, etc. Right? So everything else is the same. Okay, and just some closing thoughts here. Make sure if you're looking for a tablature for a particular song, source several different ones. These days online you can get free tabs, but they're not all equal. Some will be really bad and not accurate at all. Others will typically have little errors in them. Some may not, but it's worth checking a few. And as I've said throughout this video several times, please have the song, the audio of the song ready to go, and you want to go back and forth from the tablature, what are my fingers doing, to how is it sounding, because as I said, the tablature won't give you all the information. Even if it does have rhythm indication and these sorts of things, music's an oral art. You can't put it really on paper. It's just instruction to get you the mechanics required. The feel, all this stuff can only come from the recording. If you give me the tablature to a song I don't know, I've got no idea how it's really meant to sound. I can put my fingers in the right spot, I could play it, but how's it really meant to sound? You're only going to get that from the recording. And when you reference the recording time and time and time again, you will really develop your ear, because you're going to sharpen your ear to be able to hear the things you need to hear. You're going to listen to rhythms, you're going to mimic rhythms back that you hear, etc. Anytime you can use your ear to work a song out, it is challenging, but again, so many benefits. I would recommend you do that too. I'm all for tablature, but I always recommend people are always working something out by ear. I've got many videos about ear training on my channel. I'll link to one right now if you want to check that out. That will get you started on using your ear to work music out. Again, it's just instruction tablature. Very handy, but not the end. It's a beginning point. You want to have the song hand in hand with the tablature. If you would like help with your finger picking, the kind of help that gets you results in the most direct, efficient, fun way possible, then check out the Ultimate Fingerpicking Guitar course, a complete system for fingerpicking acoustic guitar, so simple even a beginner can learn it. I've carefully designed this course to do all the heavy lifting for you, as far as knowing exactly what to do, how to do it, and when to do it in regard to mastering the art of fingerpicking guitar. All you have to do is follow the pathway I've laid out for you. In the Ultimate Fingerpicking Guitar course, you will learn and master all the key concepts, methods, strategies, and techniques needed for fingerpicking, so you'll never put your guitar down in frustration again, thinking, how the hell do I do this? You will also discover the exact order in which to do things, avoiding the all too common mistakes most people make when learning to fingerpick guitar, saving you precious time and frustration. Have your hand held every step of the way with the Ultimate Fingerpicking Guitar course. It will take you from wherever you are at right now with your fingerpicking to where you would like to be, enjoying every part of the process along the way. So click the link in the description below the video and check out the Ultimate Fingerpicking Guitar course. Let me know in the comments what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. I love to hear from you. I do my very best to read all the comments and reply, and a lot of the things that have been suggested have turned into videos. So don't be shy, drop us a line. Would love to hear from you. If you like this video, then hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I release videos every week. If you like the content, subscribe and hit the notification bell button, and you'll be sure not to miss a thing. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I really do appreciate you taking the time to do so. This is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.